Hey, how it's going, guys? In this video, I'm going to introduce you NLWeb, Natural Language Web by Microsoft. Right? It's really an interesting concept by Microsoft where they made it open source for interacting with websites in a natural language way, right? Because the future is, of course, that where the websites, the web portals will get replaced by portals or agent-based portals, right? Like when I say portal, it's gonna be voice-enabled portal, or it's gonna be agent-based portal. So it will be replaced, right, with natural language web. So NLWeb is an a research prototype by Microsoft, which is really interesting because it's open source and it's really easy to kind of convert any information, whether it's structured or unstructured, or on a given website into an interactive chatbot kind of a thing, right? So that's what we're going to look in this video. So if you look at here on my screen, I'm on NLWeb GitHub repository. Already has almost 5K star, and it's like more of a month ago that they launched it, right? And it follows the RAG principle in under the hood for using the structured or unstructured information, right? And that's fantastic. If you look at here, you can of course read about it more. And I think this is really important for anyone to understand because if you read here, it says conversational interfaces for websites is hard because we have so many websites, right, available on the open internet. And NLWeb seeks to make it easy for websites to do this. And since it natively speaks MCP, also helps you with, same language APIs can be used by both humans and agents in near future. So it relies on RSS. It's easier to work with. RSS are like the feeds are being used over or by 100 million websites on the open internet, and that's the semantic layer for the web, right? It's easier to find information, if that website or an application or a portal has an RSS feed, and that's how it basically does that. So NLWeb is more of a collection of open protocols and associated open source tools, and you can see it over here, right? And of course, you can go through these repositories, how they're working with MCP server. It like NLWeb instance can also become an MCP server. So let's say you want to utilize that in any other existing applications or an MCP client, you can also do that, right? And you can see it over here. Now, you can see we have tested it on Windows, Mac OS, Linux. They have tested it with Qdrant, and we're going to use it locally. So first thing that you have to do, right? I will show you. I am using an agentic IDE, Windsurf. But even if you are using VS Code, PyCharm, or Cursor, that is completely fine. So if you look at here, I have a folder right over here, and I have cloned the NLWeb GitHub repository. So what I did, I came here and click on git clone this HTTPS link, right, from the terminal. And this basically gives me this particular repository, right? And we're going to do a few things over here. Now, as I said, I'm going to work with a local open source vector database that can persist the memory in my same working directory. So I'm using Qdrant over here. I'm not using any closed source thingy on the embedding side. So at least the storage side. Now, if you look at here, you have to make some changes. Let's say you clone this, right? And how you can clone it? As I said, come here. Let's say you do git clone, and we do git clone, and then we just clone this. That's all we have to do. Once you do that, you will get something like this. Let me just close up the terminal. Now, if you look at here, right, it has code, and in code folder, we have subfolders like benchmark, config, and we have to go inside config, right? And when we go inside config, we have a bunch of files. These are all YAML files, of course, for configurations, and that's the recommended way, guys. If you're working with a enterprise or a large scale Gen AI project, you should keep these directory, structure in mind, to create all your configs or configurations in a YAML file, right? Now, if you look at here, they have embedding YAML, they have LLM YAML, they have retrieval YAML, they have web server YAML. So you have to make some changes. So in the config embedding YAML, you can see we are using an OpenAI model for embedding. We are using ADA002, let's say, or text embedding 3 small or any other model, right? Now, we have to make a change, and I'll show you what changes that we have to make. So preferred provider is OpenAI. If you just clone it, let me go back to this folder here on the main GitHub repository, if you go to config, right, embedding, here it will be by default Azure OpenAI. As I don't have Azure OpenAI with me right now, so I made the changes here, and I will give it to you. I'll share that with you. I've created a Notion page for this particular project, so you can just find out what changes you have to make. You can see preferred provider in the embedding was Azure OpenAI, but we have to make it OpenAI. So that's the one thing that we have to change first. Then we go to config llm.yaml, and then we have to change this preferred endpoint again from Azure OpenAI to OpenAI. But the good thing is you can also work with bunch of other models. Like let's say, Hannah, you want to work with Anthropic's Claude model, you can also do that. You want to work with Google's Gemini's, you can do that. And they also have Llama Azure, DeepSeek Azure, Snowflakes. You can find it out over here, right? The endpoints. Whatever endpoints you're working with, you have to make that particular change over here in the config llm.yaml, right? Now, if you go to next on retrieval, and that's also, of course, available on the Notion page, the document will be available in the video description. You can take it from there. Now, the last one is config retrieval.yaml. So let's go to config retrieval.yaml. If you look at here on the retrieval side, right, as I said, I'm not using any uh, Azure thingy. So let me just go back to config. Now in the config retrieval, right, I'm not using, you can see Azure AI search. That's the default one because see, hey, this is by Microsoft, right? They would like you to use all the Microsoft offerings and services. But as I'm not doing it, I change the provider to QRent local. So in the QRent local, you can see it over here, local file-based QRent storage. Now there is a question. You say, hey, I don't know anything about QRent. What should I do? It's pretty simple, guys. What you have to do is come to uh, of course, open your terminal and make sure you have Docker installed. So if you don't have Docker, right, you have to search Docker install, and you can install Docker based on your operating system. If you, let's say, if you have Windows, you download Docker desktop. Same goes with Mac OS, and if you have Linux, you can just do through CLI as well, right? So it's easy to install. Docker is a container technology that basically cut the software dependencies issue in the HDLC lifecycle, in pretty short. Now, we can install qdrant locally through Docker. And for that, we need to search qdrant Docker image, click on that. And if you click on here, it will take you to this Docker pull qdrant/qdrant. Now, I already have Docker image for qdrant. Let me show you that. You can see it's already running, but let me open a new PowerShell over here. What you have to do, you have to click on Docker images. And if you have an image already available, you can see I already have qdrant available over here. I have bunch of other Docker images like DeFi, I have Postgres, I have MCP Docker, I have Redis, I have Nginx, I have Squid, I have Viviate, again, other competitor of qdrant, other vector database or proxy, so on and so forth. But in your case, probably if you don't have anything, you just have to do Docker pull and qdrant/qdrant. You can see it's showing me over here, right? The moment you do it, it's going to take a bit of time and get the image for you. Now, once you have the image, go to the same working directory wherever you have. Let's say I have this working directory called NLWeb, and then I have to run this command. As you can see, I have ran this command. You can see I'm in this NLWeb folder. Let me make it a bit big. Now in the NLWeb folder, I have ran this command called docker run -p, which is for port, right? 6333, 6334, 34. That's the port it runs on. PWD means present working directory. Now why I'm running this particular thingy over here? Because I wanted to create a folder, right? Basically it's for storing the vector database, right? Storing the embeddings and persist that in the same folder that I'm working right now, NLWeb, and use this image to run it. The moment you do it, you can see it says access web UI at this localhost 6333/dashboard, right? And let's go back and check that what we have over there. Now, if you look at here, I'm running this localhost 6333/dashboard, right? And it takes us here. It says, hey, welcome to QDrent. Begin by setting up your collections and so on and so forth. You have console, you have your collections. Now in the collections, you can see it says no collection is present, right? So there's nothing right now, but we have to run it. The same is available. I have given you over here. You know, I don't know why it's went from here, but yeah, we can probably copy that. I think I just copied and forgot. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make that available over there. So you can just copy here, come back and paste. So this document is available for you also, right? Now we can run it locally. You can see. Now it's pretty interesting, right, guys? Now there are a couple of things we have to do before that. Of course, these are all fine. Now, let's say we need an LLM here, right? Because we're not running through Olama. We are working with OpenAI, let's say, right? So we need an env. You can see I have a .env file where I have kept my OpenAI API keys. And if you go to LLM folder, you can find out they have all these project files like anthropic.py, Azure DeepSeek, Azure Llama, Azure OpenAI, Gemini, and so on and so forth. So this is interesting. Same goes with embeddings and prompts, pretty modular code base, guys. If you are someone who, of course, don't want to work with NLWeb, that is fine, but you can at least work with their project directory, because the directory is really modular in a way, right? If you look at their config, their LLMs, their prompts, their retrieval, everything is different. And this is what I like about this, right? They have different tools and so on and so forth. Right? Now, once we have everything, let's open a terminal probably here only, right? I can see I have a terminal open. And once you have do that, you have cloned and everything, we just have to you know use the website RSS feed. So for that, I have used distill.pub. So if you don't know distill.pub, you can see it's a blog site. So I follow distill.pub to upskill myself. I learn a lot of things on distill.pub. Now on distill.pub, you can see there are a lot of blog articles, guys. It's really fantastic, and they have an RSS feed over here. So if I go to, of course, let me show you the about also. Maybe you want to know a bit more about Distill. You can see it says machine learning research should be clear, dynamic, and vivid. Distill is here to help, and that's what they do, right? They are basically empowering the communities. The people behind Distill, you can see by editors are Sam Carter and Chris Ola. And you probably know this guy, Yoshua Bengio, right? He's a everybody knows him. He's one of the fathers, right? As we said, right? He has like a lot of contributions to deep learning, neural networks, and mainly on the computer vision side as well. We have Ian Goodfellow. We know the book. Remember the book of deep learning, right? Ian Goodfellow. We have one of my favorites, Andres Karpathy, right, at Tesla, ex-OpenAI, Tesla, and whatnot, right? So some of the big guys, you can see Sakir Mohammed from DeepMind. So these are the guys behind. I will recommend you follow this. That will help you learn a lot of things. You follow digital. Now let's say I want to take their RSS.xml. Remember, right? RSS feeds are mostly in XML. That basically that's how we call it a semantic layer. For the web. Now, once you have done that, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna probably copy this. You can see it says load the distill.pub RSS feed into the vector store. So what we're gonna do, and of course this can be any other guy's link also. It does not has to be distill RSS or whatever, right? So let's go back here on terminal. I'll go back to terminal here, and I'm just gonna run. If I just do Python, it will also show me. But yeah, I'm just running it now. You can see what we are doing. We are doing Python hyphen m tools.db underscore load. So let's go to tools here. Now within the tools, we have db underscore load.py. So if you click on that, you can see it says utilities for loading JSON data into vector databases with or without pre-computed embeddings. Now with support for CSV files, URLs, and RSS feed. Let's say you also have URLs, you also have CSVs, and you want to get into your embeddings thingy and store it on QDrive. You can also do that. So you can go through this. You can see they have an URL extractor function. I'm not going that deep into the code. You can, of course, go through the repository and understand line by line. Or if you don't understand any code, give it to Claude or ChatGPT and ask it to explain it to you. It's going to explain it to you. The idea here is to see how we can convert a website or a blog site or anything like that into a natural language web, right, where people can interact with it. Now imagine we have so many of websites, right? Let's say I have my own e-commerce website or a website, and I want to convert that into a chatbot kind of a thing where people can just ask questions. How cool will that be, right? Now that's what we're gonna do here. So if you run this, we'll see what happens. All right, guys, as you can see, once we ran this Python hyphen m tools dot db underscore load and gave this link, and of course wanted to keep it a name at digital RSS, you can see what it also does, right? If you go to the data folder here, based on the size of it, if you click on the data, excuse me, I'll just click on this code. If you click on this data, we have something called JSON with embeddings. Now, if you look at this, right, it basically create the same XML file that we have over here. It computes the embedding as you can see it over here, right? So based on, and of course, you can also configure it. Let's say if your pages and websites are really big, you might not want it to kind of persist it in an XML locally, because if you just create the file size really big, right? So in that scenario, but it does that as well. You can see it says, uh, let me show you. Fetching content from URL, saved URL content to temporary file, detected file type RSS, contains embeddings. No computing embeddings for files. So it's computing the embeddings for the file, and distill RSS using database endpoint qdrent local, detected file type blah blah blah, processed, and it's basically computed the embeddings and uploading batch, successfully uploaded batch one, blah blah blah. Now, once you do that, you have to run this Python app file.py, right? So if you click on, your, like, let's say, if I go to code here, I will have something called, app file. So if you look at the app file, within the app file, you can see it's using async IO. You just async to run it on like port 8000. So if I go to port 8000, let me open it here on port 8000. You can see I already have running it here, right? Where I already had open localhost 8000. Very simple, a simple ask method. Now this ask method act as an MCP server, right? And you can use it anywhere you want. But here, let's come back and let's copy this particular question. And let's say I want to ask it over here. What I'm asking is, I don't know what I did here. My bad. What components are needed for building learning algorithms that leverage I'm asking a question over here, structure and properties of graph. When I click on ask, you can see it says asking distill RSS, because distill RSS is the collection that we have for our embeddings thingy now, right? You can see it says a general introduction to graph neural networks, understanding convolutionals on graph, naturally occurring. I think why it's coming repetitive is because one is from XML, one is from the collection. But when you click on this, right, it takes you to this particular blog now. Gentle introduction to graph neural networks. We also have the source citations, the references, right? And if you can see it over here, the digital RSS, no handler found, of course, which will not be available here on this localhost 8000, but that should not be a problem. I think I just went back. Localhost 8000, assistant. Now, how cool is that, right, guys? You can ask other questions. Like, let's say, you can also ask this one, this particular one, weights in the final layer. If I just come here and ask this, it again says asking digital RSS, you can see weight banding. This podcast episode directly examines blah, blah, blah. We can also configure it, guys. If you come back here, right, let me just minimize a little bit here. You can see it over here, everything, right? Uh, Now, it leverages a lot of things over here on the web server side. So if you go to web server, you can find out web server.py, and you have a lot of things over here. So you can go through the code to kind of customize it also. But the beauty of this is the NLWeb, that we can take any website, they have an RSS feed or any CSV or URLs, and convert that into a natural language interface, right? And an NLU interface which has a natural language understanding. And that's what it does. And I hope you got a bit of understanding on how to set up NLWeb, how to run it, how to compute embeddings, and how to kind of convert websites into an natural language interface. If you have any question, thoughts, or feedbacks, let me know in the comment box. You can also reach out to me through my social media channels. Find those information on channel banner and channel about us. Now, if you like the content, please hit the like icon. If you haven't subscribed the channel yet, please do subscribe the channel, guys. That motivates me to create more such videos in your future. That's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.